What up, it's your boy Bearcoat Finance back with another video. Today we're going to cover a topic I think a lot of people want to get into, but they don't exactly got the know-how. But thankfully, I'm going to wrap up 4 or 5 years of experience all into a neat little bow just for this video for you, which I'll provide some extra bonus information if you hit that like button. I'm going to take your word for it, so I'm going to throw it in at the end there. So without further ado, let's get into it. Today we're going to cover how to start your own business. Now this is a bit more of a vague, general sense of a thing. If you're looking to get in like a specific niche or something like that, then there's certainly videos online. But if you want to get a good, rough start, just to get an idea where you want to go, as well as tax implications, because that is my specialty, former IRS project worker here, then you came to the right place. So when it comes to starting a business, how exactly do you get started? And that's something that we're going to start off rough already, but that's something I can't answer. That's something that you're going to have to figure out what you want to do, what you can offer, and how you can sustainably do that. If you're working a 9 to 5, or if you're part-time in school, or if you just happen to be in high school in summer and you got all the free time in the world. How do you go ahead and you start a business? I would say start out by figuring out what you can offer, be it painting, be it doing social media for a company out there, be it trash pickup, something that you can offer at a reliable rate and something that you really don't mind doing so much, because you'll be doing it a lot. But the good news is you'll be getting paid for it, hopefully a lot. This is going to be the most time-consuming and probably cost-consuming part of this whole process, because there's anything you can really do that you can turn into money. You can paint things for people to make money, you can build stuff to make money, you can do services for people just to make them money. You need to figure out what you can do reliably, what you can offer, as well as how much you can charge for that, which brings me to my second point. Whoa, segue. Point number 2, figure out who your main clientele is going to be. At first, your customers are going to be your friends and your family, which hopefully, if they are good supporting people, they will pay you exactly for what you're worth. If you're doing a service, then make sure that they pay you for your time, your effort, and the materials that you use to conduct that service. That way you can start figuring out what your price point is, what you're worth, and where you should be going, as well as have a work portfolio for people out there so that way they can see it whenever you start looking for actual real clients. Whereas if you sell a product, make sure you get a good enough profit margin to where you can buy at least 3 or 4 more of those products off of that one sale. That way, you at least have enough room to where you can start investing into other means, that we can also invest into an inventory on hand. That way, you'll never be a shortage, and that way there'll never be, any sort of delays or anything with your delivery. It also goes without saying that if you're selling a product specifically, make sure that it's something that is available within 2 weeks. That way your customer doesn't have to wait too long. 2 weeks is kind of pushing it nowadays in the days of Amazon, but you got to remind people that you are just starting out and to be a little bit more patient with you, as well as provide excellent customer service. Trust me, customer service in both fields, service and in the management of inventory, it's going to go a long, long way. If you call your customers up, you keep them informed of what they need, what they need, as well as listen to any sort of critique that they have, you will go far and beyond anything else that they will find. And that brings me to another part within there. Never undersell yourself, even to friends and family. Your time is your time. If you're working a 9 to 5, you know how valuable that free time can be. So if you're working that hard hours just to get ahead and hopefully make your dreams reality, make sure you get every single dollar worth out of it, because for all intents and purposes, if you're going to this sort of field, you are an expert and a professional. You're getting paid to do these services or sell these goods. So that means you are top of the line, top of the field, at least in your area, and you'll be able to treat yourself and reward yourself as such, and make sure you bring up those price points. But of course, whenever working with friends and family, make sure you also know, generally what you're working for. If you're selling a painting for $1,700 and it took you 3 hours to make, then that might be a little bit of a highball there. Just saying, unless you're some sort of crazy Rembrandt. But make sure you can negotiate what's a good price point, what's a good area to be, because once you start finding real clients, you're going to need a hard and fast number, and they are going to bring that down. And speaking of first clients, now we're going to go ahead and try to figure out how to find our first client. That's right, the biggest hurdle of them all. Take it from me, I've owned multiple businesses, one of which was worth well over $100,000. Do whatever you can to reach your first client. Use social media, use Craigslist or whatever equivalent you have in your area. Use any sort of outreach. Honestly, in my experience, knocking on doors is the most powerful tool. It seems archaic, it seems old, it seems like you're going to get chased with a dog, a bat, a rat, and a cat. No, I will not have those green eggs, Mr. Sam I Am. For every 100 failures that you're going to have, 100 turnaways, 100 denials, 100 heartbreaking moments to where people just need to see what you can do or whatever product or service you can provide. You just need 100 people are going to turn you down. But that very first one is going to be amazing. And it's going to be the hardest thing. But once you get past that one, it only gets easier. It's like the first day at the gym. The first day is the hardest. The first week is the hardest. The first year is the hardest. The first client is the hardest. So once you find that client and they are ride or die with you and they'll go with it, or even if they're just giving you a chance, give them the best customer experience they've ever had. That way they can go vouch to their friends and so on and so forth. Word of mouth is the most amazing marketing that there is. Like, it's astounding how great it is. So if you're able to build a reliable customer network off that very first one, even if it's just a low ball job, take it, go with it, ride with it, treat them like royalty. You will be amazed with how far those implications will go. Now, when it comes to that first customer, you're gonna have to sit down with them and discuss your rates as well as the going expectations you're going to have with this business relationship. Go ahead and tell them what you're looking for. They're going to definitely try to lowball it. Make sure you have a range within what you need. 80%, even 50% of what you set is going to be reasonably reached. But just make sure that you go in, you know what you're worth, you know what your numbers are, and you know what you want to do. Then they will go ahead and they will trust you with it, and they will hopefully expect great results that you will provide. And with that, you keep on going. You find your first customer, you go to your second customer, third customer, fourth customer. Like I said, it gets even easier as you keep going. But there comes a point whenever you either get comfortable or you get hard stopped by a number of factors. Either you make enough to where you're comfortable and you're like, hey, this is a good side income that you can be making, or you just pull on enough customers and you just don't have enough time in the day. If you keep painting and or if you're working like 60 hours a week on painting more than your real job, at some point you're gonna get burned out. You can't just keep doing that. So that's where you try to decide how you're going to grow outwards and try to figure out what you can do to make it a little bit easier on yourself. The end goal is for you to make a sizable income while at the same time being comfortable. If that involves working 40-hour weeks, do what you can to reach 40-hour weeks at your job. If that involves working 60, this is a passion project, it is your baby, perfectly reasonable and honestly something to be expected. You're going to be working over 40-hour weeks guaranteed. If you're working 60-hour weeks, that is fine. If you go anything more than that, you might be pushing the envelope a little too much. So try to figure out what your boundaries are and figure out how much clientele you could bring on and keep on juggling between, as well as how much you're making. If you're making far more than enough than what you need and you're thinking to yourself, I don't need anything extra, stay where you are. Keep it going. Keep it comfortable. Not everything needs to be the multi-billion, gajillion, kajillion dollar organization ever. You're not going to be paying out Swiss bankers to hide your money. You're not going to be going to drug lords in Finland to try to figure out how you can make even more margins on the dollar. No, you're just trying to make what you can. And if you're comfortable with what you're making, that is what you need. But of course, there comes a time where everybody knows what to expect, and that is the taxes. That is right. Filing time, baby. Ding, 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 ding. In the US, tax filing times is anywhere between January 1st and April 15th. There can be extensions to October 15th, especially if you have a business, but just be wary that you probably will. If you have any tax implications before, then you'll have to pay them and they'll still have issues on the way. But it goes without saying, the sooner you pay your taxes, the better. The IRS is far more likely to target any sort of small businesses with any sort of sizable income rather than your Joe Schmo who's working 7 shifts at McArby's throughout the week and also is a part-time plush maker for those rats that point at people. I really recommend learning at least the most basic of taxes in your area. Different states have different laws, and of course different countries have different tax laws. There's a few volunteer organizations you can join to where you can at least get the basic ground rules of taxes and hit the ground running when it comes to your business, because trust me, not enough businesses know how to do their taxes despite it a thing that everybody has to file. I recommend an IRS project called Vita, Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. It's what I used to manage back whenever I was dealing with the IRS. And it is a program to where you come in as much as you need, as long as you need. You are trained on how to do at least the most basic of taxes, and you're doing them for other people out there. It's a good way to meet other people that we can find some more clients, And also at the same time, you can learn the most basic rudimentary laws of tax that we can at least do your own personal taxes. And it also builds to a springboard to where you will go off and learn even more complicated things such as business tax. What is your write-offs? As well as the enigma that is the Schedule C. It's not really that bad. Just as a heads up though, even if you do your business as a small-time hobby or, going on to make that mega million corporation, if you make $600 throughout the entire year, then you are going to have to file a Schedule C on your tax return. So I really recommend looking it up right now on the IRS website if you have a business, or even if you're just working towards one. Looking it up on the IRS website, just pull down the PDF and it will have a list of breakdown dot by dot on what you can write off specifically that we can also plan ahead and figure out and keep the receipts for. Which also brings me to my point. If you're going through somebody who's going to be doing your taxes for you, I really recommend, at least, from me, I really recommend that you put your receipts down and you put them in an Excel spreadsheet. Just break it down, that way you can hand it off to them. And if you do that for them, like any good CPA, they will probably give you a discount because it's time saved. And time saved is money earned. So if you get more intimate with your finances, you figure out what your expenses are, and you're able to put that down for there, you at least also save some money. So there's definitely some good monetary reward out of it. When starting out your business, I really recommend that you keep a hold of any sort of expenses that you have as far as receipts goes, or at least writing it down in a notebook. You really don't have to present anything unless an auditor comes up, but even then a written down notebook is sufficient enough. They won't try to, go back through your days and be like, oh, well, he spends $15 a day on gas. They're not going to do that. That's way too much time. But if you're able to keep down your expenses, as well as a little known thing is your mileage, if you track on where it costs going to a location, then you will be able to get a tax credit for that, but not going back. So if you're like, going to Home Depot to pick up some supplies or something, you can take down the mileage going to Home Depot, but going back home, if you're going home that day, no. But if you're going Home Depot to the work site that you're at, that is something that you can chart as well. So make sure you keep track of those mileages there. It's really going to help you out. And lastly, the last thing I can really recommend if you're starting up a business is learn from those around you. Go out and meet people in your similar field and area. See if there's anything you can glean from them. Surprisingly, the competitor mindset is not as prevalent as you think it is. But if you go to someone, especially someone who's older than you and in their field, they will give you so much wisdom and so much information. It's astounding. I also recommend going to any sort of local chapter that you have. I also recommend going to any sort of local thing that may be held in the area. The more local events you go to, the more clientele you can reach out, and the better, honestly. I also recommend, if you live in the United States, there is the Chamber of Commerce. Surprisingly, they hold a lot of good events and they really plug you into a lot of people in your area. So really take advantage of that. Really go out there and reach a lot of people. But that will do it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you at least got some sort of information out of this. Good luck with your business. I hope to hear from you soon. Hit that like button again for if you've learned anything whatsoever. If you disliked, hit that like button. That'll really show me. I hope you all have a great day, and I will catch you around for another video this Wednesday.